Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping well. So in today's Spurs chat, I'll be speaking to three very special guests, Craig, Crackers and Melvin, all about the week that has been. It's been a mad week being a Tottenham Hotspur fan yet again. Of course, we've had the COVID-19 outbreak at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. We'll be talking about the postponed game that was meant to be taking place right now against Rennes. Of course, the Brighton game has just been postponed in the Premier League Sunday. We'll be talking about the Europa Conference League, the season so far, Antonio Conte, the FA Cup draw, the Carabao Cup game coming up against West Ham, and, of course, the transfer window. We will also be having a quiz at the end of the show, but I will let Crackers talk to you about that. Crackers, how are you? You all right?
Yes, very well, thanks, Chris. Just trying to keep sane in a mad world, and it just seems like world events seem to be taking over yet again. I think, firstly, want to wish everybody at Spurs that's currently suffering with COVID a speedy recovery, and they get through it nice and quickly. And and that goes for any club. Leicester have got some players out, and you wish all the best to them. So sometimes you have to remember that things are a little bit bigger than football, and maybe one or two people that I'm sure we'll discuss this evening seem to have forgotten that today. So even if there's an outbreak at the camp down the road, like the South London mob, you'd sort of go, well, listen, hope they get a speedy recovery and they come out of it all good, because it's football, you put football rivalries aside. So but keep sane and well. Thanks, Chris. Evening, everyone.
Do you know what? You've said that in the first minute of the show, and pity Rennes and UEFA haven't done the same in the last 24 hours. But we'll get on to that. Melvin, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Chris. I'm looking forward to talking about the season and what's going on. It's a pity, but we were such on a high, and I was buzzing, and I was texting you during the week, and looking forward to the match, more to the Sunday match than today's match. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this chat.
Well, one positive, Melvin, is the fact that you're on this channel and we haven't lost a match. That's a rarity.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll take the win.
And Craig, welcome back to the channel. How are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Chris. Yeah, I'm not too bad. Obviously gutted that the football's cancelled the next two games, but as Cracker said, there's bigger things going on, and I'm sure we'll get into it, the behaviour of our opponents. But it is what it is, and COVID's back biting us in the arse again.
Right, Crackers, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the COVID situation at Spurs. Of course, when Antonio Conte done his press conference in the morning yesterday, 11 cases. When Antonio Conte done the press conference, it was 13 cases. It's now being reported 20 plus cases at Hotspur Way. Of course, all of us felt that this Brighton game on Sunday was never, ever going to go ahead. And in the last couple of hours, Spurs have put out an announcement stating that the game has been postponed. Absolutely the correct decision. UEFA was still stating that this Rennes game tonight was going to go ahead. Rennes, well, if you can call it, they've got the right about this. They've flown to London. They've got off the plane. Spurs have said, no, we can't, continue with the match. They've got the if it wasn't for Tottenham cancelling this game, UEFA and Rennes still wanted to play this match. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's nuts, yeah. But this is for UEFA to take a lead on this. Football's a cruel old game, so somewhere you think to yourself, well, you can see why Rennes actually went and said that let's still play this, because I think you and I were both looking at places on the bench at one stage. It was getting that desperate. So them wanting the game go ahead, of course they would, and then they progressed, because it just seems outside of England and Britain almost. All European competitions are taken a little bit more seriously, even this Conference Cup, and they want to be in it. So UEFA really should have come in a lot sooner and just gone, well, no, there's upwards of X amount of cases now at the club. And let's not forget, if you wanted to, Rennes wanted to play this game, there's every chance that during the game, if somebody is carrying it but tested positive, and there was some close contact or something, you know, I know it's very difficult, and you start getting into the realms of, like, you know, we're not doing a COVID show as such, but there's the potential there for a spread, isn't there? However small that is outdoors. So they could have ended up, you know, with one or two of their players contracting it and going back and having it themselves. And I just don't see why the common sense never really prevailed here. So, and UEFA should have just come in a lot earlier and not allowed Rennes really to travel to London. It should have never have got that far in the first place. So, but, you know, with the way things are generally, I think this is probably just the start of it, because, you know, it just seems that the flames have been reignited with COVID, and I can see quite a bit of disruption coming up domestically and European, to be honest. So it just so happens that we were one of the first games that's fallen foul of it. But I'm sure that come sort of January and beyond, we certainly won't be the last. But what do you expect from UEFA, to be honest? I mean, you know, you look at some of their decisions.
We had no choice to cancel today's game, did we?
No
choice.
No, exactly. There's just, it's not like we've had one or two and we've tried to chuck it in for, you know, for nefarious reasons. It's a whole squad that's out. So it was just crazy that it was even contemplated that they'd somehow some way try and get a game together. So I don't know. Over to you, UEFA, and start getting yourself some clearer dictates, rules and laws regarding this, because even if you get down to a 13, and as long as you've got a goalkeeper, I mean, the competition's you know, looked at with a little bit of a skunk eye as it is. If you start, you know, just saying, well, if you've got a few under 23s knocking about, you can throw them out into it as well, you're just going to diminish the competition even further, to be honest. So I'm not surprised with UEFA, to be honest. They do have some bizarre faults and you know, ways of doing things, just generally in football, not just this, you know, in other areas of the game. So disappointing.
Melvin, let's come to you. What's your take on it? Because of course, Rennes put this statement out last night, as did Spurs, stating that the game wasn't going to go ahead. They didn't use the word postponed. They just said it wasn't going to go ahead. But in the Rennes statement, Rennes actually come out and said that they had a video call with Spurs and UEFA early afternoon. Spurs then emailed back and said, yes, this game will be going ahead. Rennes then got on the plane, landed in London City. And then when they come off the plane, Spurs said actually the game wasn't going to go ahead. But we then know that Antonio Conte went in the press conference, 11 players tested positive, or 11 staff members and players tested positive. When he went in the press conference, it was 13. The numbers were just rising rapidly. I am disgusted by, you know, I completely get that Rennes have travelled, you know, they've travelled to London, they've made the trip. But surely there should be some sort of sympathy for these Tottenham Hotspur players. They have not come out and said anything like wishing the Tottenham players all of the very best. It's a very, very salty statement, in my opinion.
Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, these guys are people, they're human beings, and we're all fighting this battle together. So how you cannot show that kind of sympathy? Listen, they're not slaves. Yes, they want to play the football match, and we want to see the match, but they're not slaves. You can't force them to play the match. You have to show, you know, this kind of humanity towards an understanding. So, you know, when you hear rival fans, you know, the statements that they've made, and it's like, oh, they have to play and this sort of thing. You know, as Spurs fans, I'm disappointed, and I'm very sad that, you know, half of the squad got infected. But, you know, we're all fighting this thing together. If it happened to Arsenal, you know, yes, there are London rivals, but I think, you know, we're all fighting this thing together. We all want to see this virus get kicked out and eventually destroyed, so we can go back to the game and not have to worry about these things. You know, these things should be fought on the pitch, and no one should have an advantage and have, you know, the game decided by COVID, because that's what could have happened. The game could have been lost for us because of COVID, for example. So we're all fighting this thing together. So there should be some understanding. But when it comes to UEFA or the other clubs, yes, perhaps it costed them money because the game didn't go on and they've paid for the flight to come over. And for such a small club, maybe to pay an additional flight, you know, we're a big club like Spurs. Maybe it won't affect our books as much, but for them, you know, to fly over and have to go back and rearrange it, probably have another flight, it could cost them. That's probably why they were a bit salty, because at the end of the day, people think about their pockets before, you know, they think logically. So, you know, the game didn't go on, so the TV money didn't come in, and it's probably why people aren't showing sympathy like they should and understanding, because at the end of the day, it hurt their pocket.
Craig, let's come to you on the same subject. What have you made of the last 24 hours and these statements from Rennes?
I'll just echo what everybody said so far. It's a bit disgusting, to be honest with you. There was one thing they said in a tweet, or somebody had retweeted, that as far as they were concerned, the game was still going ahead. We'd called it off. They knew the situation, blah blah blah, and they were basically saying, well, you know, somebody had put, what are they going to do? Jump the barriers at the stadium and just kick off and win 20-0 or something like? Is that what they thought was really going to happen? I just think they behaved pretty appallingly, to be honest with you. You'd like to think most of their fans wouldn't have started to travel yet, unless they're having overnight stays, of course, having a trip around town. I don't know. But, you know, this could have happened when you went to Rennes, Chris, obviously, and you'd rather it be cancelled when it was, rather than wait till the last minute. I mean, can you imagine being 8 hours in a car with Gary all the way for it to be called off? You know, that's basically what you're looking at. So we did the right thing. I thought the club behaved incredibly professionally, thoughtfully. I thought they did the right thing. I thought Tottenham actually done us proud on that. And I just don't understand where this is coming from Rennes. The Vitesse statement, I must admit, I haven't read in full. I did see somebody say it's a bit better, but there's still waspiness in there. Is that game going ahead? Is that game going ahead tonight against Mura?
That game is going ahead, and Vitesse have come out and said that it now creates an undesirable situation. And, you know, of course, they're competing for a place in the knockout phase of the Conference League, and that must be a fair, stimulating battle. If moved, the Tottenham and Rennes game, that will be a significant disadvantage for Vitesse from a sporting point of view. They're really not happy about it either.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue the points of should have that game been postponed as well, so they can both be played at the same time. I think this is just one of those situations where it's just one of those things. Do you remember a few years ago the Manchester United game it was the last game of the season, and that got postponed, didn't it, because of something? And I can't remember what it was. Forgive me, but that was postponed. Obviously, we all believe that our Lasagna Gate game should have been postponed against West Ham when we was trying to get in the top four. So, and that obviously wasn't. So, you know, those things don't go for you sometimes. But this is a totally different kettle of fish, different situation. Club have done the right thing. UEFA are disgusting. No better than FIFA, in my opinion. All about money. And as Cracker said, some things are bigger than football, bigger than anything. You know, this is, at best, this COVID is... it's ballsing up everybody's lives, let alone the people that sadly died from it. And you've got to stem the flow, sadly. And we've done the right thing. We've done the right thing. And you know, you shouldn't be playing football matches when there's those amount of cases. And surely Rennes can see that. And again, as I think it was Cracker said, saying one of our players had tested negative, but was positive after the event, went on that pitch and infected the whole Rennes team. I mean, you know, that it could happen. It could easily happen. We've done the right thing. Despicable behaviour by UEFA and Rennes and Vitesse for that matter.
Crackers, let's come to you. Now, in my opinion, Tottenham Hotspur acted very professionally and they've done the right thing. And as Craig said, to postpone the game or cancel the game, whatever word you want to use, almost 24 hours before kickoff is the right thing to do because, as well as I do, we know a lot of people who travel all up and down the country from Europe to watch Tottenham Hotspur games. So, travel plans, for that reason would be good. But do you think that UEFA are going to punish Tottenham for this? Because UEFA didn't sanction this cancellation first. It was Tottenham that done that first. Rennes was still saying that their game's going to go ahead. UEFA was still saying the game was going to go ahead, and Tottenham cancelled it.
No doubt, Chris, that they're going to punish us. And you know what the real kicker will be is that we'll probably receive a fine twice the size of some of these clubs with fans that are on the terraces abusing black players and making monkey noises and all that old nonsense. You watch. I bet you our fine is probably double what some of those clubs would actually receive, because that's UEFA. They just got there's just no common sense with them at all. They'll issue out this fine. It's football at all costs, but we're just not living in that type of world at the moment, or we at least need to get to a point where we learn to live with it. So even if you have tested positive, but you're not unwell, which isn't, out the realms of possibility, and then you have to leave it down to clubs to be honest and say, okay, well, look, we've got this many players that have tested positive, but a lot of them are actually feeling okay at the moment. It's what we're up against, Chris, is something that we've never been up against. So there's no rules for it. It's very, very difficult to chart what way to deal with anything. So that has to be taken into consideration. But you just know UEFA won't be able to think outside the box like that. They'll just go, right, okay, they've cancelled the game. They haven't turned up. Probably make us forfeit it even and just kick us out of the competition or something ridiculous like that. So I wouldn't put anything past UEFA punishment wise in the next couple of weeks. That's just a sort of ridiculous business that they get up to.
Crackers, there's lots of rumours going around at the moment that the game could possibly be played next Wednesday, the day before the Leicester game. Of course, we learned a couple of hours ago that the Brighton game this Sunday has been postponed in the Premier League. Do you expect the Leicester one to be postponed as well? And do you think that that's possible that we could play the Europa Conference one on the Wednesday, bearing in mind that some of these players are self-isolating for 10 days, still wouldn't be back?
No, they won't be back. And how can you can't play a game on a Wednesday and then have a game cancelled for a Thursday? So again, you throw in another sort of player into this Shakespearean farce almost at the moment of two different bodies, the Premier League and UEFA being involved, and one may look sympathetically on a request where others won't. So I just don't see how you square that circle of playing on the Wednesday but still having the Thursday cancelled. That just seems quite bizarre. I mean, if they really do insist that we play it, just throw a team out there and just say, all right, okay, if that's what you want, here you go. We'll just throw the kids in, tell them to go out there and enjoy it. And do you know what would be brilliant? If it was a full house that turned up and got right behind 11 under 23s and really gave them a taste of something, and just embarrassed UEFA almost, went out there. And even if they got cuffed 3 or 4-0 at home, just applaud every one of them off the pitch for standing up and giving it a go, and just finishing this utter farce and making UEFA look ridiculous.
Melvin, let's come to you. Do you think this game will go ahead at some point, Tottenham v Rennes? Because it has to be played under UEFA rules. It has to be played by the 31st of December. And Rennes, they go for their Christmas break, 22nd of December. When will this game be fitted in if it's not next week?
I don't know, to be honest, because we're jam-packed with Premier League matches, and then there's the League Cup match against West Ham, and I don't know when it's going to be played, to be honest. To be fair, I agree with Crackers. In a way, I wouldn't have mind if we played the kids and we lost, or even forfeit the match, because to be honest, other teams are gonna make fun of us for going out or for even winning it. Even if we win the competition, people are gonna banter us. So might as well play the kids or even forfeit. Blame it on COVID and we're out of the competition, and focus on what's really important, the Premier League. To be honest, I'm more excited about the Premier League and the cups and what we can do in those competitions than the Conference League. It's just gonna create havoc. We already have one game to reschedule, the Burnley match, and now we have another one. We have a Conference League match and another Premier League match. 3 games that we have to fit in. And if we go far in the competitions like the League Cup and the FA Cup, it's gonna be a nightmare to schedule them in. There needs to be time for rest. There needs to be, we can even have further cases down the line. Hopefully that doesn't happen. In a way, I'm a bit shocked that the club sort of allowed this to happen in a way. I know, obviously, it's an accident, but I mean, a club as big as Spurs, we should have had these things more. The players should have been more cautious. Obviously, you cannot help. You don't know how these things are going to pan out. But I think the club should have been a bit more careful about these things, testing more often, isolation when the first case or first symptoms popped up. To have 20 people infected it's very sad and disappointed. But obviously, I don't know how it derails all the momentum that we had going on, because now we have to go back to square one, and obviously their mental state and physical state all have to recover, because I haven't had COVID. I've been lucky, but I know people who've had it, and they've told me that it takes months for their physical and their breath, some people anyway, to recover properly. You don't know what effects they're going to have long term. Sadly, they could have, some players have been affected by COVID, and we don't know because they don't say, publicly that this player is suffering. So we don't know. I think the mental side and the physical side, both. There's going to have to be a period where, we have to allow these things to pan out slowly for them to mend themselves and the players to come back, obviously test negative, and then the work starts again. And it's like from square one. All the momentum and progress that we've made, we have to slowly start building up again, and hopefully these players can build up the excitement and the energy and the fight all over again, because we saw a humane side from Conte. Like, he was so sad, and it's like, it's not about football. You don't want to talk about football when these things happen. It's like, you know what I mean? He wasn't excited to talk about the match. He was more, in a way, afraid, and he was sad for the players. And it's like he wanted to know if their families were okay, rather than what positions and who's gonna play here. And it's the truth in a way.
Craig, let's come to you. Dare I say it? Tottenham Hotspur were favourites at the start of the season to win this competition.
It's mental, isn't it? Absolutely mental. I mean, I don't know if we've discussed this, but Rennes have won the group anyway, regardless of when they play us anyway, haven't they? So I don't understand quite why they're getting so waspy about it. I really don't. I mean, just looking at it, Vitesse are 1-0 up, and they're on obviously 10 points now, 3 above us, so that'll be interesting to see. I mean, if they absolutely hammer Mirror anyway, it could be almost... it wouldn't matter if we put the kids out. And to a lot of supporters, they don't really care about this competition. I've always been of the opinion, if you're in it, you might as well give it a go. But this is kind of changing my opinion on it. I think the position we are in the Premier League, you could argue, if you're asking me to choose one of the two, it'd always be the Premier League. But yeah, we were favourites. He's mental. Of course, we could still go through. We could win the game when it's rearranged, and we could go through, and we could still win it. But the fixtures are going to start piling up. But I think, like Melvin said, these games are going to come thick and fast now, and the players, what are going to be the effects on some of these players, of having COVID. Some of them will be absolutely fine, probably don't even know they've got it, and will be absolutely fine. But something that struck me actually a couple of weeks ago, people saying Kane looks unfit and blah, blah, blah. Who's to say Harry Kane hadn't had COVID? It's just not come out that he had it. He might have had it at the beginning of the season when he missed the games. All right, we all know it was the Man City thing, but could have been COVID as well. You just don't know, do you? And it could be the effects of it that have been affecting some of the squad before, and we just don't know about it. And that's people's private medical information. And, these things do tend to leak. I don't know quite how, but they do. So there's all that to be taken into consideration, I just hope it doesn't affect the squad long term because, as I say, we've got the Christmas period coming up, which is always busy. And then into January, things ain't going to slow down, are there? There's games coming thick and fast. So we can just hope that the players recover quickly if anybody's got any symptoms, and hopefully we can all move on. I just hope that people can still get into the grounds and watch the games. I hope it doesn't get as bad as it did last year.
It's funny, Craig. I said earlier today to someone that it just reminds me, these last 24 hours, it just reminds me of like March 2020, of when that Man United game got postponed. And then, of course, they kept being postponed. I just hope that doesn't happen again. Crackers, let's come to you. Want to talk about the Europa Conference League. How do you feel about the competition? Because I know a lot of Tottenham fans who just don't care less about this competition. You know that I talk about trophies all the time, and I felt at the start of the season, and of course, William Hill, my channel sponsor, they put Spurs as favourites to win this competition at the start of the season, and I just feel that some fans have been really snobby about this competition, stating it's a load of rubbish. But we're in the competition because we finished where we did in the league.
How we were a load of rubbish, Chris. That's why. We're in it because we were a load of rubbish.
But that's the facts. Exactly. How can we be so snobby about it? Which, of course, our last game, we lost against the lowest ranked team in the competition.
Yeah, because of the way things have been going with Nuno and then Mourinho before him, and the lack of investment and and all the chickens have come home to roost, and we are where we currently are. So, we're in it because that's the position we ended up in the league, and the league never lies, does it? It's over, so many games, you sort of end up where you deserve to be. Cup runs are different. You can, squirm a win and get through, but league's a totally different thing. So that's where we are. And, being snooty and looking down your nose at it, doesn't change it, because that's where we are in the level of Europe and other European teams. So I'm with you, Chris. I'd have liked to have seen us actually give it a go, but I also then understand why we really wasn't giving it a go and why players weren't really up for it, because no one's playing Conference League on FIFA, are they? on their PlayStations or anything. You're never going to be Mora or Rennes, are you, on FIFA? You want to be the Champions League team. And that's where players want to be as well. So until the football sort of catches up with the status of the club, if you like, now, what hasn't helped either is building such a magnificent stadium, such a magnificent training ground. And you look at, as an outsider looking at the club, and you say to yourself, well, this is one of the biggest clubs in world football now, by looking at all this. And then, there we are, huffing and puffing away on a Thursday night against, like I said to you, with Rennes. We wasn't quite sure if that was like the team from France or the staff company from the kitchen company on the North Circular. Didn't know if it was Rennes Football or Rennes Kitchens. But that's where we are, isn't it? And so, but give it a go. Give it a go, because it's one of 3 cups that we could have, but we're in this season. So it's 33% of our season. League's out of reach. So give it a good go. But now, given all this, I think it's like, listen, just stick it up your pipe. If you're going to be like that, UEFA, then you you can shove it, really. So I think it'd actually be quite great if we went out in this rearranged game and actually went through now and not one of them out, wouldn't it? That'd actually be quite justice, wouldn't it? Bit of social justice.
You personally, what do you hope that happens? Do you hope that we finish, and play that final game against Rennes at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Do you hope that happens and we go through?
Yes, I do. I know there's a lot of fans that don't like it, and I get why they don't like it. But listen, it's not like we're sort of going up and winning cups every 2-3 seasons, is it? And then go, oh, this is a bit of a distraction. I'd rather sort of go and win the FA Cup again, like we did a couple of years ago. I've got kids that just haven't seen us lift cups, and there's like plenty of kids that just haven't seen us lift a cup. So it might just be a good springboard for us, to kick on in. The problem you've got as well is clubs look at it as balance sheets, and even to win it, I mean, I could nearly pay the prize money for whoever wins it, and I think you only have to be maybe 1-2 places higher up in the Premier League to actually earn more money as a club than for winning this whole competition. So, you can see why the clubs really haven't sort of given it much heed or much attention.
You get 15 million for winning it.
Do you? I thought it was about 500,000. Is it 15 million? Or maybe I can't pay it then.
Euros, I think.
Yeah, the entire competition, and I think it's when you add the whole thing, I think you get close to 15 million.
All right, okay. Well, there's a month of Ndembele's wages done anyway, so if we win it anyway. So at least we get in for nothing, huffing and puffing around, don't we? Let's get out there and do it. Let's get out there and win it.
That's what I love about having you on, Crackers. You always put me off my stride, and I don't know where I am next.
Thank you very much.
Melvin, let's take a question from Roy Price on the screen now, and it says the Premier League is far more important, and probably so is the FA Cup too. We need to make sure we are right for the main competitions. How do you stand on the Europa Conference League? Because as I just asked Crackers there, would you like to see us progress in this competition, or for you, just leave it here? Don't play the game.
No, I would have forfeit the match, to be honest. I don't mind if we forfeit. Just give them the match, let them win. We're knocked out of the competition, and we focus on the Premier League. If we win our game in hand with Burnley, we're in fourth position. And you look at the remaining fixtures that we have, and the way we were playing, we're not gonna get carried away, but under Conte and the system that we're playing and the possibility of the signings that we might make in January, we can push for top 4. And if we don't have so many distractions, like this cup competitions, I'd rather fight for the domestic trophies as well. Because if we beat West Ham, for example, in the League Cup, I'll have more pride in that. You know what I mean? If we beat our London rivals, then, beating Rennes and qualifying for the next stage, it doesn't do me anything. I'd rather have, that satisfaction of maybe going to Wembley again than going to Albania. I think the final is in. You know what I mean? So the Premier League and the domestic trophies are far more important. Like the comment says, exactly.
Well, I was going to say, Melvin, if any of the viewers want my flight to Albania next year, they're very welcome, because it doesn't look like I'm going to need it. Craig, let's come to you. Of course, the Brighton game in the Premier League has now been postponed as well. Some people are stating that this is probably doing us a slight favour in the fact that if we do have a good January transfer window, we'll have new players to play against Burnley and Brighton.
yeah, but I mean, this run, I was quite. Oh, somebody's put on here Vitesse 2-0 up. That's good. That's good, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, the thing is that this run was a run I was actually looking forward to. Obviously the Burnley snow situation was another typical Tottenham thing, wasn't it? But that game aside, it was a good run. We could have picked up points, and as we all well know, we could have been in the top 4 by now. We win our games in hand, so it's all very well having games in hand, but you've got to win them to actually, make the most of the situation. So, you could say, yeah, the more games that are postponed, we'll have more players to play. Romero's injury, blah, blah, blah. But, I'd rather play him now. We don't want fixture congestion because you could pick up a couple of injuries to key players when the games are being played every 3 or 4 days and you're back to square one again. So, obviously, you'd rather play them. I certainly would. I don't quite know where this game's going to fit in. Like you said, next Wednesday, it's going to be a bit tight. And as you say, a lot of the players are still going to be isolating, I'd imagine. Although, who was it? Emerson and Keel, was it, that missed the game before? So they should be back at least. But, hey, they're not going to win us a game necessarily, are they? So we want the likes of Son back. So it's a really difficult situation. But, as Cracker said, this is going to happen now. This is going to happen more and more as we get into winter. There's going to be more games postponed. And we could be on the receiving end by having no cases with us, but it could be another team where they can't field a team. So, this could affect us both ways. And it will affect other teams in the Premier League. And until we know about this new variant, I mean, thankfully, it looks like it's not as virulent, if that's the right word, more transmissible, but less virulent. That's probably good news for the pandemic from what I've been hearing, because it will just rip through. People hopefully won't get hospitalised and die from it. And it could signal the end of it from what I'm reading. But, we're a long way from that and they don't know exactly all the details on that, do they? So, Boris saying, don't go to work, but go to your Christmas party. Yeah, sounds like a good thing. Unbelievable, isn't it? What sort of advice is that? You don't go to work, but go to your work Christmas party. Really? Jesus. Anyway, enough on politics. This isn't a politics channel. This is a football channel. I do apologise. And I'll tell you.
Do you know what, Craig? I think we've done pretty well to not talk about Boris for the first 37 minutes of this stream. I think we've done pretty well. And I actually, my money was on Crackers mentioning Boris before you.
Oh, right.
Someone
Okay.
mentioned Boris and parties. What does Boris know about parties? He doesn't seem to know anything about parties. Boris.
Yeah. No, there's a picture of him. He's got a bloody drink in his hand. But then again, you don't know from that picture when it was taken. To be fair to him, it could have been any time. But it's thankful we haven't got Darren Altman on tonight, because I'm sure he would have had a view as Boris. Darren, I'm sure. So that would have been quite amusing.
He's published a great video today, so do check that out on his Twitter. Crackers, let's come to you. The Leicester game next Thursday. Do you think that's going to go ahead?
No, I can't see that going ahead either. Where are we now? First, that's sort of 7 days away. Yeah. So we're probably still going to be, a day or two in isolation for most of these players. Leicester seem to have the beginnings of an outbreak as well. So, I mean, that could catch up with them in another couple of days. So we could end up with this mad situation now of us coming to the end of an isolation, them still in it, but having to decide who it is that actually cancelled the game as such, which team it comes down to. It's what I'm saying. This is all such uncharted waters, but primarily the health and safety of players has to be paramount. It's as simple as that. So, I think there needs to be some long meetings into the night and making sure that there's real strict guidelines and limitations and what to do if this happens and that happens, etc., so that everybody knows where they stand with this. But I can't see the Leicester game happening either. But like I said at the top of the show as well, Chris, I think this is just the start of it, because, the way things seem to be going again, it will then be, one of the Manchester teams or, Southampton or West Ham or whoever. Yeah. And then all of a sudden their game gets cancelled. So we could really be looking at a really, really disturbed Premier League season here. And we might end up with a Duckworth-Lewis method being applied to league positions, to be honest, at some stage. So very, very difficult to see what's what into the far future as such. But for next week, I can't see that Leicester game happening. I really can't.
Crackers, if all these games keep being postponed, what do we talk about on this channel?
Boris?
You're going to have to come back and do more quizzes. Do you want to tell people about what we're going to expect at the end of the show with your quiz?
Okay, so this all started on a podcast a million years ago called "Oh When the Spurs," and we thought we'd do a quiz, and we actually had phone calls into the quiz, and it was so bad. But one of the lads said, I said, do you like the quiz? He said, no, it's a bit shit. So it became known as the shit quiz, and they've just got worse and worse from there. And I'll create a title, a name for the quiz, and then I flesh it out backwards. So I get the name for it first and then create a quiz from the name. So, and tonight's probably the stinkiest one I've ever made. It's so bad you need to open a window to listen to it. It is that bad. Be prepared.
Well, I think Craig and Melvin are looking a bit nervous about this. Melvin, let's come to you. Now, if that game against Leicester does get postponed next week and we come back for the Liverpool game, that is a huge game to come back to, isn't it? And then, of course, 3 days later, we've got the Carabao Cup game against West Ham. Only 4 days later, we've got the home match against Palace. And 2 days later, we've got the Southampton game. So 4 games in the space of 9 days, having not played for a couple of weeks because of the COVID outbreak.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing to think about. But yeah, I don't know, in a weird way, to play Liverpool first, you know, we've lost to them for the past 3 years, I think, in a row. Home and away, they've beaten us. I think we haven't taken points off them since Wembley or since the last season, you know, at White Hart Lane. So we rarely get points off of Liverpool. So if we play them, you know, having coming back from COVID and we lose, which we've done for the past three years, in a way, I prefer to drop points against Liverpool than Leicester in a way, because Leicester, I see it as more as a winnable game. Maybe we can get, you know, a draw, but I prefer, I guess, to lose against Liverpool. You know, we haven't played the match yet. Who knows? We might go away with points, but the worst case scenario.
Do you expect, Melvin, that Leicester game will go ahead then?
I don't think so. I don't know. We're talking about, in a way, uncharted waters, because not even the Premier League or Spurs knows what's going to happen. Because the players, if they're negative, you know, if they're negative a couple of days before the match, and then the day before they're I don't know, if they're still positive a couple of days before, and then they're negative the day before the match, they're not going to be match fit. They'll be training probably at home, doing some running, if they have the energy for it. You know, we don't know how it affects every single person. Some people have COVID, don't even know it, you know, don't even feel it. Some people can't even get out of bed. We don't know how it affects everyone. It affects everyone differently. So,
yeah.
So I don't know. It might happen. It might not. My feeling is, I don't know, 10 days is a bit close to playing someone, you know, the Liverpool, their peak fitness, and we're going to be playing them having just had COVID, most of the squad. So I don't think Leicester will happen. I think Liverpool might. Probably the first return match for us.
Craig, same question to you. Do you think the Leicester game will go ahead? Because you know, when you're talking about that Brighton game being postponed, and when you think about all of the staff and the players, you know, self-isolating for 10 days, and of course Leicester have had problems with COVID as well. That surely is doubtful.
Yeah, just echoing what others have said there. I can't see it going ahead, sadly. It's almost an impossible situation, isn't it, as well, we're in. And you could say, oh, why we Spurs, why are us? But how's your luck? You know, we couldn't have had like a Norwich or something on the next game back, assuming Leicester goes ahead. We've got bloody Liverpool, you know, who have been playing well. And like Melvin said there, we're coming back from half the squad having COVID, not really knowing how fit they're going to be. And it could be bloody Liverpool we're playing. It just couldn't be worse, could it? It really couldn't be worse. And just as we were getting up a bit of a head of steam, not getting carried away, but, you know, we'd started to string a few wins together. It's just just bad luck, isn't it? That's the only thing you can say. There are bigger things going on in the world. We all know that. But as from a purely footballing perspective, it's just it's terrible for Tottenham. Make no bones about it.
Crackers, let's come to you. You, I, and Craig would have been very young when Tottenham last won the FA Cup in 1991. I don't think Melvin was even born. Gary Mabbutt, of course, lifted the FA Cup at the old Wembley Stadium when we beat Forest 2-1 after extra time. Des Walker scoring their own goal. Well, 30 years, unbelievable, isn't it? But Tottenham have just been drawn in the FA Cup third round against Morecambe. What do you make of the draw?
Real third round draw, isn't it? And I think that's the type of games that you love to see. That's why I still love the FA Cup, Chris. Morecambe, you know, like when we played Marine. That's what the FA Cup's all about. And you hope that your team does the business. But when you see like maybe a West Ham or a Man U or a Liverpool draw a minnow, you think to yourself, oh, I hope they get embarrassed, especially that mob up the road. If they draw somebody like really low, and you think to yourself, oh, just imagine if they get turned over, because you don't let them forget about it for a few weeks. So, you know, it's a great jeopardy, isn't it? And it's great for Morecambe as well. It'd be great for their players coming to that stadium. You know, I don't suppose Morecambe's got anything quite near the New Lane where they play, to be honest. And, you know, so it's great. It's so the tradition of it and everything. It's been diluted over the years. Very sadly, it used to be 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, Abide By Me, and all day on the TV. And, you know, it's been sort of moved. I think it's like 7 p.m. on a Saturday on Nick Jr. now or something, on our E4+1. And, you know, it's just awful what they've done to it. But I still love it. I remember it as a kid, and, you know, I saw us win it in 81 and 82 and, of course, 91. So I'd love to see us do it again. It's a fantastic competition, fantastic day, FA Cup final day. So, but as you mentioned, Gary Mabbutt there, Chris, I don't know if you saw today, but he's just made his 4,380th phone call today to Spurs fans, vulnerable Spurs fans, elderly Spurs fans. He's been at it for weeks and months, phoning people and just checking in on them and making sure that, you know, that they're okay. And he really is a top man. He, like, you know, I work with him from time to time on the Legends nights, and, you know, people that come and speak to him and talk to him about his diabetes and, you know, the work he's done in that field as well. He's incredible. He's a very, he's almost unfootball-like or unfootballer-like, you know, and it's absolutely brilliant. I said earlier on social media that I do hope that the club's made an approach to number 10 Downing Street, and if they can pull themselves away from a couple of cans of Tennent's and a cheese sandwich having a Christmas party, but they might actually look to upgrade his MBE to an OBE or a CBE, or even a knighthood, to be honest, because he has put in months and months of work. So, you know, but back to the FA Cup. Love it, absolutely love it. It'll be brilliant, and I just hope that at some stage everybody falls back in love a little bit with the FA Cup, and we can recapture some of that old glory days of it.
Melvin, let's come to you. Crackers, you know, echoes my thoughts as well about the FA Cup. I love the competition. This is why I mention it every single year. You know, 30 years. I just cannot believe that amount of time has passed. And as Crackers mentioned there, Gary Mabbutt, I was very lucky to interview him on this channel last year during the COVID lockdown. And he was talking about all the wonderful work that he was doing. And I asked him that very question. Can you believe that it is nearly 30 years since Tottenham last won the FA Cup? And he said, no. You know, a club like Spurs not to win a competition for so long. What does the FA Cup mean to you?
Well, yeah, you were right. I've never seen us win it. You know, I was born in '93, so I wasn't around when that happened. My first trophy was in 2008, and it was the first season I started supporting Spurs. My father used to tell me, you either stay at home and you phone me when Spurs, you know, score, or you have to come to work with me. So I chose to stay at home, you know, and watch the game, which was probably the easiest of the two options. And I've been hooked ever since. In my first season supporting Spurs, we actually won a trophy, and I thought, I can get used to this, and we haven't won one since. So yeah, I've been waiting for that second trophy. But yeah, I would love to see us, get to the final, try to win it, and any trophy. We've been saying this for years now. We need to get that over the line, and it seems that in the last couple of years, we got to the final last season. So, but it's just getting that last step. It's the difficult part, and we thought Jose was the solution, but I don't think Jose, in a way, was. I don't know. Conte, can he get it done? I think the club, the priorities have shifted over the last few years. It used to be the training ground and the stadium, and there's nothing left now except to win. Now we have to become the club that wins. We need to start acting like the big club that, we have the facilities and we have all these things, but now it's time to win, actually perform on the pitch. And I think Levy, in a way, appointing Paratici, appointing Conte, I think these are, the final pieces of the puzzle. And now it's time to act on the pitch and get to a final and lift the trophy. Can we do it this season? Do we have the players to do it? I don't know. I don't think so. But you never know in football. Leicester won it last season, and you look at the great teams that they were playing last season. Liverpool didn't win it, City didn't win it, but Leicester won it. You never know in these competitions. You can get lucky with the draws, like in a way we did last season. We got lucky in the League Cup, and we ended up in the final. We only beat Chelsea because the other teams were not quite the level that were in the Premier League. Last season we actually got a bye, but who had COVID last season and had to forfeit the match? Was it
Leyton Orient?
Leyton Orient. So it happens. It happened to them last season, and they forfeited the match. So it could happen to us in the Conference League. We might forfeit the match. We don't know, but yeah, I think this season and next season and definitely the one after, under Conte, we have to push for these trophies. And my belief in the club as a whole, I think we're shifting to that slowly. It's taking time, and Spurs fans definitely, we've been patient for a long time, and this final step is just taking so damn long. We have to win it eventually, and we have to do it because people are starting to lose faith in the club, and they're starting, you know what I mean? Some people are so sick of the excuses and the things that go on behind the scenes, and players that don't work out, the lack of funds. People are starting to really get pissed off about these things. And this final step is, we waited so long for it. And now it's time, to win a trophy. And it has to happen in the next few seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig, let's come to you. Adrian writes on screen now the words I say every single year, and everyone around me, friends and family, are like, oh, here he goes again. And of course, everyone who watches this channel on a regular basis, they all say, oh, here he goes again, talking about trophies, and we haven't won one in so long. But I always say it, Craig, every time that we're drawn in the FA Cup, we're going to win the FA Cup this year. What have you made of the draw against Morecambe? Because great draw for us, isn't it?
It is, and I don't know whether the website I was looking at was just incredibly wrong, but I don't think we've ever played Morecambe in a competitive game.
Never.
I can't believe that. Really? Oh, right, it was correct. So, I can't say for sure that we're actually a better side than Morecambe because obviously we haven't played before. But in all seriousness, you would like. It is a cracking draw. It is a cracking draw for us. Hopefully we'll be able to get tickets on general sale for the likes of us who are not season ticket holders. So it'd be a good one to take the kids to. It's nice to be drawn at home as well, isn't it? Because we're usually away. Let's face it, in cups, we haven't had the best of luck with home ties in the first round of cups. But it's a good draw for Tottenham, and I think it's 6 games to the final, isn't it? Is it up to and including the final 6 games in the FA Cup, assuming you don't get any replays? So the FA Cup for me, like Cracker said, as a kid, it was the thing. You obviously had the European competitions, but you know, in the 80s, obviously we were spoiled, you know, 81, 82, 87, right, we lost 91. It was almost a constant thing. We was threatening, and I just remember the FA Cup songs, the Chaz and Dave songs. You think, what's the song going to be like this year, you know, and like Cracker said there, it was on most of the day, and you'd have other little games before the actual final, and it was a kind of big razzmatazz, the whole thing, boiling hot day in May. It was just fantastic, and it has become watered down, sadly. And I'm a massive fan of the FA Cup. I love the FA Cup, and I really hope it again regains that kind of status that it did once have. And I don't know whether I don't know if the Premier League or whoever it is, the FA, wouldn't it? It would be, of course, it would be, considering trying to get a Champions League spot to the winners of the FA Cup. It might help make it a bit more, give it that prestige back. I don't know, just for rather that it shouldn't be. Don't get me wrong, it should be. Winning the FA Cup should be as good as it gets. You know, you should be proud to win the FA Cup, but sadly, money's taken over. And it's the Champions League is the one everybody wants to be in. So, but I love the FA Cup. I really want us to win the FA Cup. It would be lovely to win the FA Cup. Craig,
what do you say to rival fans like this, like John? You're allergic to trophies. You won't win
it. I hadn't considered being allergic to trophies. Yeah, that could well be the case, couldn't it? I can't argue with that. I just think, and we've said it on this channel many, many times, and you guys have talked about it on Last Word and on Spurs as well. We've been there or thereabouts. We just can't get over that line. There's just something, isn't there? Just something has stopped us winning. We've been there. We've been so close. And I genuinely think this, and people might think I'm mad saying this, but if we get one, we'll get more. And I do think that that winning breeds winning mentality, and I just got that feeling, you know, we will go on a run trophies wise. I'm not saying we'll win everything every year, of course, I'm not that deluded, but I do think that once we could pick up one, and by the way, wouldn't it be lovely to see Hugo Lloris pick up a trophy if it is to be his last season? If to be honest, if I was Daniel Levy, just going off tangent for a minute, I would be sitting him down and getting him to sign the 2-year deal. Personally, because I don't think there's much else out there goalkeeper-wise that can challenge Hugo. I'm not convinced by Galini, so I think we need to tie Hugo down, whatever the cost. But there you go. That's my opinion on Hugo. I'd love to see him lift the trophy. I think it'd be a travesty, like all the players we've mentioned in the past that left this club without winning. Your Vertonghen's, your Alderweireld's, your Eriksen's, blah blah. You could go on. The list is endless, but. Let's hope we can get that done this year if it is to be his last season, because it would be great to see him lifting a trophy aloft in a Spurs shirt.
Absolutely. We will come on to talk about transfers shortly after talking about still my favourite subject, trophies. Crackers, let's come to you. Of course, the last trophy that the Spurs won was the League Cup in 2008. Far too long again. We've got West Ham on the 22nd of December. How do you see that game going, Crackers? Do you think that Antonio Conte will prioritise this competition, the Premier League games? Because as I said earlier, 3 days before we play Liverpool, 4 days after the West Ham game, we played Palace, and then 2 days after Southampton. You know, we got to the final of the Carabao Cup earlier this year against Manchester City. Sadly, we didn't lift the trophy under Ryan Mason at the time. How do you see this game against West Ham, you know, going? Because they're a very difficult side to play against at the moment.
Yeah, they're flying at the moment, and I think it's one of those games where Conte's just got to look at it in that week leading up to it. I think he's got to see who he's got fit, who's about, and that's not just with sort of COVID, that's just generally. And I think he'll just have to cut his cloth accordingly. But if we have got a good, decent, fit squad, I think he'll give it a go. I think he gives it a go in all 3 of those games, to be honest. But if we have got some injury doubts and players out, he may well just have to go, well, you know, I've got to prioritise those 2 league games. I can't see that changing anytime soon. That's the way all clubs have been for the last 10, 15 years or so. But those league games always get prioritised over the cup. So, but if everyone's fit, give it a go, Chris. Give it a go. I mean, West Ham have had a little bit of a wobble of late, so there's a couple of results that haven't quite gone their way. They got a great result against Chelsea, obviously, but I think it really is a week by week situation, and you'll just have to see who he is, who he's actually got fit at the time, and then just make a decision from now. So, but like you say, you just hope that you do give it a go, because I would love us to see us win a cup. And every season you say this is it, trophies are coming. Well, that's the right way to be, being a football fan, isn't it? No matter who you support, that's the very essence of being a football fan. This is our year. It's that hope and that expectation. All right, it doesn't pan out quite a lot of years for us, but it never stops you at the start of the season or the start of a cup run going, right, come on, we can do this. If you don't have the belief, then just give up. You have to believe that you can do it. Start of the season, you have to think to yourself, but maybe this is our year. Maybe, we sort of get it together and we win a few games and we're top of the league and we eke it out and we actually do it. You've always got to have that hope, So, but it is a travesty that there's Melvin's never seen us win the FA Cup, and there he is now sporting a full beard. I mean, look at that beard. It's just magnificent. But it's not right that a club like Tottenham, there's a man that has never seen us win it, and now has such a grown-up adult beard. That's not right, is it? It's just like, come on, Tottenham, get it together.
When you mentioned earlier about Spurs winning the FA Cup in 81, 82, Craig said about, obviously, we lost that game against Coventry in 87. Then we won it for a record 8th time in 1991. Why do you think that it is that we have lacked trophies for so long? FA Cup 30 years, last domestic trophy since 2008. It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, I think a lot of it can run back to the boards that we've had. Sugar didn't know one end of a football from the other, was offered like Dennis Bergkamp and went, I'm not paying the money for him. And he went off up the road and become a superstar. And we bought Raw Fox instead. It was just, they just didn't understand football. And I think he's ended up selling the club to another mob that don't really understand football. I'm sort of hoping that they're now beginning to get what's needed, and that's just get your pen out, sign the checks and hand it over to Paratici and Conte. And, I get a lot of what they do with building the stadium and being self-sufficient and making money from other routes without taking the money from people with dubious human rights issues and that. It's that's what I'm saying, that they're beginning to now just get the idea of what it is to run the football side of a football club. But we have really just had two chairmen that just didn't quite get it. And it's no shock, is it really, that in that time since 91, there's only been one cup since. So, everything comes from the top of a club. Everywhere takes its leadership from the top, as we saw this week with a press officer at 10 Downing Street. It's like you saw her attitude, and it just matched that of her leader. And I think it's the same in any industry, be it a government and politics or football or road sweeps or, butchers, bakers and candlestick makers. So let's hope that Conte just gets the right mixture now and gets the players playing right. And we do finally make your dream come true, Chris, of trophies are indeed coming, or trophies have been, you might have to change it to.
God, blimey. They have to come under Antonio Conte. If they don't, I don't know who is going to do the job. But no. Very quickly, Crackers, Adam writes on screen now, by the time we win something, I'll look like Yoda. Who do you think you'll look like when we win something?
Listen, I can't go any greyer with the hair. That's gone already. The teeth are doing well and the eyes are doing well. Everything else is knackered. So I reckon by the time a trophy comes, I might be like gumming me food, gumming a bit of mashed potato and like putting some thick milk bottle glasses on to see what I'm actually eating. So let's hope it doesn't come to that. Let's hope that my boys that are aged 17 and 14, they're not sporting beards when we next win one.
I can tell you something that's coming. The quiz will be coming. It won't be long, I promise. Melvin, let's come to you. Now, when we think of 2021, it has been a mad year. So many things have happened on the pitch, off the pitch. When you think at the turn of the year, we had Jose Mourinho as the manager. He was sacked before the Carabao Cup final. Ryan Mason come in. Then we waited 70 days for a manager. Nuno Espirito Santo was appointed. Now Antonio Conte is our boss. What have you made of this calendar year 2021 as a Tottenham fan?
I don't know. It's been a crazy one. I remember that video after, I think it was the League Cup final. We've had some dark days on here. It's like my free therapy session. I'm just waiting to get a bill from you one day, charging me for all these hours of free therapy. But yeah, we've had some.
Do you know what? Let me just say, Melvin. You and I had a conversation a couple of weeks back, and you actually pointed out very rightly, and I'd never realised it. You said, "Chris, every time I'm on, we lose," and I was like, "Really?" And you were like, "Yeah, Zagreb 3-0, the cup final, losing to Manchester City." You named all of these games, and I was like, "Wow, yeah, you're absolutely right." So it just seems, I think you've just been so unlucky when you've come on this channel that the results just have been horrific.
Or with that crap. We just lose every other time.
It's either or. But yeah, I was also on when we thought we were going to get Conte, and we didn't. And literally we read it out loud that Fabrizio Romano confirmed that the Conte thing was off. We were buzzing that he was coming. And at that moment, the club was like in such a weird direction because we didn't really have a plan. And I think, Daniel Levy was still calling the shots. We thought we were going to enter the Super League. We sacked Mourinho, and Harry Kane wanted to leave. We didn't really have a plan, and we didn't really see where the club was going. The recruitment was, until Paratici still does a bit of his magic, we're still a bit iffy on that. But but now you can sort of see the jigsaw puzzle is coming together. We have all the right pieces, and it's like it's a matter of time until everything starts to click. The statement the club released a few weeks ago. Credit to Levy, he did say some good points. He was talking about the revenue coming in and the recruitment and bringing in Conte shows ambition from the club, something that we lack the majority of the time. Yeah, thanks. But sometimes the club, I think the only time we acted as a big club is when we sacked Pochettino. That's the only time I can see, when Daniel Levy tried to act like a big club. In hindsight, it was a wrong decision. But at that moment, I thought, wow, Levy acted like Chelsea do. Chelsea sack their manager when they don't perform. And bringing in Conte and Paratici, hopefully, when working together, they can create what they did at Juventus, what Conte did at Inter, what Conte did at Chelsea. They took clubs that were in turmoil, that were finishing 5th, 7th, 3rd, and they brought them to champions of their country and winning trophies. Yes, they managed to do it within a season. Let's see how long it takes. It's going to take a bit longer. Even Conte said that this job probably is one of the hardest that he's taken. And even he said that the level within the club is not as high as he thought it was. When we suffered that defeat in the Conference League, I think the squad in depth. The quality is very, very low, and it's going to take a couple of transfer windows. I think, in a way, he has an 8-month pre-season. I think the real season starts next season. He has 2 transfer windows, Levy will try to generate as much money through NFL and concerts and all of that. Levy said that all that money will go to Spurs. And in history, we've been the sort of club that won't spend before the money comes in. So we have to wait for these things, for Levy to cash all the money in from these events before he spends, unless he knows how much he's going to make. And like he said, credit to Levy, we've not had a full season, reaping the benefits of the stadium, of all of the gate money and the commercial side of it. And, I don't want to get into figures and that kind of stuff. So we still haven't benefited from all of that stuff. We're still, how many millions in debt? We made 180 million loss, and we still expect us to buy Vlahovic and Kessie, and we start mentioning all these players. But we'll see. We'll see what will happen in January. And I think we've been very unlucky in the last 3 years. I think the signings have been poor. COVID really, affected us a lot.
Craig, let's come to you. Sorry, Melvin, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to sum up what I was saying. I think we've been unlucky, and we've been unlucky the last 3 years. I think no one expected COVID to happen, obviously, and it affected most clubs. But I think it hit us, a bit harder than most clubs, because we used to make maybe 50 million a year from commercial side, and that was about to jump up to like 120, and it would have benefited us a lot on the pitch, because what we struggle most is to compete against the other clubs is financially, and the football side of it, sadly for us, it's financially, it's all about money. And Levy hopefully now can put us in a position to compete with all the other clubs, the Oil FC from Chelsea and City, and we can compete with the ugly side of football, which is the finance side. And hopefully Paratici and Conte can work some magic, and we can spend some in January and spend some in August, and we'll compete next season for the title. Hopefully.
Well, there's a statement. Craig, let's come to you. Of course, it has been a mad year, 2021. Your highlights of this year and the low points?
Low point was obviously losing the final, I think, and the way we went out of Europe. High point for me was seeing Gareth Bale in the Tottenham shirt again and seeing him come good in the second half of the season. Did split the fan base a little bit. I think more people were welcoming him back towards the end than not, and wishing he was going to stay for another season. But for me, just seeing him play for Tottenham again, one of my favourite ever players, just showed he could still make a difference. He was really only at 80% max all the time he was playing, and an absolute travesty that Mason didn't start him in that cup final. I still don't understand that decision. But there you go. That's in the past. But yeah, for me, that was probably the highlight of last year and this year totally. And I would actually say probably getting Conte in, I was really excited that, that would have to be up there as well, because that was a real statement. I remember feeling quite down about the whole thing. I remember speaking to you, Chris, on the chat, and to see you, to a point, somebody who's never wanted a manager out, virtually saying it's time for Nuno to go, then you kind of know they're in an impossible situation and just had to admit that they got it wrong. And the fact of there's two sides to the Conte thing for me. The fact we appointed a world-class manager, brilliant. But the fact we know what he would have said to Levy that he wants, that also signals good things for the club. Because he wouldn't have come if he wasn't promised certain things, money mainly. Let's be blunt about it. And the fact he's working with Paratici as well, I just think, give them a couple of transfer windows. That squad's going to look very, very different come next September. And we have spent money, regardless of what people say. We have spent money over the last 2 or 3 seasons, but the recruitment that we've spent that money on has been pretty crap. Let's be honest about it. And, you know, speaking at the beginning of the transfer window last year when we bought in Doherty and that transfer window, you know, we were all quite happy with it. And yet you can see, oh, right, okay, perhaps those players weren't the best. Now, you could argue that they weren't trained by the best, but then again, we had Jose Mourinho, one of the best coaches in the world. But there are players in that squad still now that we need to move on. You can see improvements in certain players that we've touched on before on this channel. Ben Davies being the big winner, I think we said the other last week. Massive improvement. I mean, Ben Davies for me, I've never really said Ben Davies definitely out because I think he's a good figure to have around the training ground, popular with the squad, and not the sort of player to cause trouble. I think he's just steady Ben, isn't he? And I think you do need players like that. But let's face it, he was never first choice for me in that team. But under this new system with Conte, he's been one of our best players. And it's incredible.
They're photoshopping the Ballon d'Or in his hand now, Craig.
Wouldn't that be incredible? Wouldn't it be incredible? And Harry Winks presenting him to him. You know, it's that for me as well. Obviously, Mourinho loved Ben Davies. I think you said this before. Mourinho loved Ben Davies. You know, and for him and Conte to say he's my first choice left back or left-sided centre back speaks volumes. Who are we to know? You know, we say, oh, he's crap. But I'll tell you what, Ben Davies, one of the biggest success stories, along with Skip and who's the other guy? Name's gone out of my head. We said there was 3 winners so far, didn't we? Can't remember the other person's name, but him and we'll probably see Dyer. That was it. Thank you, Melvin. Yeah, Dyer. Incredible turnaround, and coupled with a few signings, I think we could definitely get back to where we want to be. But Conte needs to be backed. Yes,
Craig.
Yes.
Don't you think that it's not? I think what he did, like to get these out of the players. I think they all had it within them. It's just he's playing them to their strength.
Yeah.
I think, you know, playing Dyer in a 3, you know, it cuts out a bit of the mistakes that he used to do. He was always good on the ball, and Ben Davies, he's a decent left back, but you know, with Reguilon next to him, you know, and even Davies makes Reguilon play better because he can bomb on forward and he can cover the left side if he gets caught out of position. It's just the things that Conte did. He put a position for every single player that makes sense and plays them to their strength. It's like every single player is playing to their strength. It's not like Jose was first playing in a 4 and then a 5 and then mix and match, and then it's complete common sense what he did, and somehow no manager did that before him.
No, and I think you're right, and as well, what is refreshing to see to a degree, Conte's more or less played the same back 4, back 5, hasn't he? Really, which is great because Jose went through a phase we never knew who was going to be in that starting 11, did we? You know, went through a phase where you think, oh Christ, who's he going to pick today, sort of thing, and that you could argue that was the case. He didn't trust any of them. You know, and it seems now that Conte's getting the stuff. I mean, anybody in football knows if you have a settled back line, then you're halfway there, you know, and, you know, Romero is injured, you know, these things are going to happen. But I think with a couple of reinforcements as well, decent defenders. Like I say, you know, if we can shut up shop at the back, then we've got goals in that team and Kane will come good again, 100%. Because if this is Harry Kane's worst ever season, I don't think he's playing terribly. You know, I really don't think he's playing terribly. He's just not scoring goals. If he was nicking the odd goal, people would be saying, oh, everything's well. We wouldn't even be talking about it. I know his primary goal as a striker is to score goals, but you've got to understand as well, he's occupying 2 defenders a lot of the times, and he's creating spaces for other players to run into. So, yeah, he's not scoring, but they're not just going to leave him unmarked because they know he's crap. Okay, all right, yeah. Steady on, I like that.
Crackers, let's come to you. Now, I remember a good few months ago that we did one of these Spurs chats after that Arsenal game, and I can tell when it's been a bad day because I write nothing down. I have no notes, and I tell you what, you know, when we went live, just before we went live on that show, I actually said to you saying that I've got nothing written down. It's just all going to be from the heart. That was a hard show to do, wasn't it? We've had a lot of downs during 2021.
Yeah, there has been a lot of downs, and undoubtedly that Arsenal game was right up there. I mean, we just didn't even have a midfield that day, did we? To be honest, and they just absolutely bulldozed through us, and we just never turned up. And it's the one game that all fans want to see their team turn up in is the local derby. So that's probably one of the lowest points. Bizarrely, the Man U game as well, we all thought was a real down point, but it ended up actually being one of the plus points of the season because it saw the back of Nuno, and I think it gave a wake up call to the club as well. The booing when Lucas came off, and then people began to turn on Daniel Levy. I know there's been an element of the fan base that has been sort of calling for him to go or change, but then your sort of average Joe just goes sort of every game and gets behind the team, even started to sort of look up into the stands a little bit and say, what are you going to do about this? So high point, Conte coming in, definitely, and it just seems like we had to hit rock bottom to start to get back, hopefully, to somewhere where we all hope and aspire to be. So, but with football, I'm a bit of a weirdo, Chris. I don't just see the football game, it's the things like the day out as well. So, I mean, a highlight for me, especially living in Lanzarote, and mum and dad are in London, and the Vitesse game at home, to be able to fly over and then go to the game with me dad to that game was just brilliant, because you sort of cherish that time. And away at Everton was 0-0, but it was great because I was in a car with some lads, and we drove up there and we had a good day and we had a good laugh. And even meeting up with yourself when we had a little bit of a meet up earlier this year as well, and we had a bit of an evening out and a few lemonades in a bar. That was lovely but that's all based around football. That's all based around Tottenham Hotspur. So it's just that thing of being, especially with all what's been going on, and we was all locked up and couldn't fly here, there or anywhere, or even go to games, to be able to just do that, no matter what the result is, and, get yourself in a pub, have a couple of beers with friends, catch up, even that's great, so it's not always just that 90 minutes on the pitch.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. We're now going to talk about the January transfer window, and then straight after, we will be doing what everyone is here for, the Crackers quiz. Crackers. I actually want to start with you. January transfer window. Lots of Tottenham fans. Lots of fans on Twitter and other social media outlets. They are all expecting Spurs to do some serious business and spend some serious money in the January transfer window. Can you see it happening? And what players do you think may possibly go out the door?
I can't see it being big amounts because it never is. So even if the will of the club is there and the funds are there to do it, it's very, very difficult to do deals in January. It always is for every club. A club has to want to sell players for us to be able to buy them. So, as long as the will's there to want to do it. And again, is it really sensible and prudent to go in and do these massive wholesale changes? We brought in these 7 players from when Bale went, this sold Elvis and bought the Beatles. It's too many. You have to just get the balance right all the time. We can't just throw 5, 6 new players in. So you have to get that balance right. I think it's more interested on who goes out. I think Delhi's done. There's a player there, but he just doesn't seem to be interested. I think he needs a new challenge. And Dembele is such a crying shame. He's such a great player, but he just doesn't seem to want it either. So, those players, I don't think, no matter how much Conte gets up behind them, are going to buy into it. I think their time at Tottenham's just done. I think Dembele is just going to be one of those players that's going to be like that wherever he goes, just not really that troubled by a bit wanting to be the best he can be. So there's players still that may well come good. Ben Davies might be an answer. He might just continue to progress more and more. Dyer has progressed. He may well make that slot his own, and we might not need to buy in that position. What we really need are those players that we're completely missing, that there's nobody at the club. And that's like the Eriksen role, like the number 10 role. That's absolutely vital. And a second striker as well, because there's no second striker. So when there's nobody really there at all, good or bad, and they absolutely need somebody there, that's where we've got to concentrate. So I said earlier on our WhatsApp group, I'd like Spurs to maybe go after Origi at Liverpool. You know, I think he's a great player. And like we said, Klopp earlier this week was saying that the boy really deserves a chance at some more regular football than what we offer him. And it almost sounded like he was putting him in the shop window. And I think he'd be perfect for us. I really, really rate him. And he's just unlucky to be at a club that's flying and can't seem to get in ahead of Salah. So he's a player that if we could make some inquiries, and it was possible, because he's almost oven ready as well. He knows the Premiership as well. So he's one that could hit the ground running, because that's always a problem as well. Bring a player in from an overseas league. Are they going to be suited? You never quite know until such times as one comes in. So, you know, like a Modric or Eriksen, a striker, that's where we really need to be concentrating in January.
Crackers, is it a worry for you, the fact that Antonio Conte is trying to get the best out of these players, you know, getting the best out of the likes of Eric Dyer and Ben Davies? You know, those names would have been very common on, you know, every Tottenham Hotspur fan's list of players to sell, you know, in past windows and in future windows. But now Antonio Conte seems to be getting the best out of these players. If he starts getting the best out of a lot of the other players, will we actually get many players in? Because, you know, will the board say, well, no, you're doing great with these players, you know, just carry on?
No, I can't see Conte taking that, to be honest, where maybe previous managers would have. He will be telling the board that competition for places is what also keeps players on their toes and fighting to stay in the first team, you know. And if you've got players that know that there's nobody really behind them, you sort of get into cruise control. So he'll want a good, strong squad. It's a long season as well, so they will get their chances. But if you've got somebody, you know, up your tailpipe that's very good, but you're just about hanging on to your position because you're that little bit better, you'll stay that little bit better. So I can't see Conte putting up with that. Well, you know, they're doing okay, which is a trap that we fell in before with Poch. I kind of think that he was making chicken soup out of chicken shit. And the board looked at that and went, well, you know, carry on. But eventually you run out of it. You run out of luck and players run out of legs. So, you know, Daniel needs to learn a lesson from that time as well. And Conte certainly won't let him get away with it.
I can never concentrate properly when you're on, Crackers, I'll tell you. All these things you come out with. Melvin, let's come to you. Same question. Who would you like to see Spurs sign? You know, give me some names, and who do you expect to leave in January, if anyone?
I think Cracker said this. I forgot where. I think on a podcast I heard you say it. He used an analogy of, he was comparing players to like trainers, buying like 3 or 4 cheap trainers, or buying one really nice pair. You know, my girlfriend is obsessed with trainers, and She doesn't like the cheap ones. She likes the expensive ones, and I think Spurs fans would be the same. I think I'd rather see like a 70 million pound player come in and maybe and that's it, and completely, be first team player on the team sheet. For example, if we buy Vlahovic, someone who's Paratici likes, Conte likes, there's a lot of excitement about him in this area. He comes in, he's young, he's hungry, and Conte would find a way to fit him into the system. And I rather buy quality rather than quantity. I don't want to buy 4 or 5 players and only one of them turns out to be good. I want to buy someone who's definitely going to transform the team and put in whatever Conte needs. If he wants Vlahovic, or if he wants, I don't know, a midfielder. I don't know who he wants. Maybe, I don't know, the guy from Inter, I forgot his name.
Brozovic.
And he keeps, they keep mentioning him. And whoever Conte wants.
Is it realistic, though, Melvin? Is it realistic to get real quality in the January transfer window? Because I'm completely with Crackers on this. As much as all of us Spurs fans want us to go out and spend big money and get great players in, it's very, very difficult to get players in January because, of course, no team want to let their best players go.
But Fiorentina said they would accept 75 million euros for Vlahovic in January. Yes, in the summer you can get him for 60. But if you put up 75 million now, you don't have to compete with Borussia Dortmund next summer. You don't have to compete with Arsenal or Liverpool. If Daniel Levy and Conte and Paratici want the player, 15 million isn't going to make the biggest difference. That could get us Champions League football next season and this season. So if the club is ambitious, and plus we had an 85 million bid accepted for Lautaro Martinez. Wasn't it 85 million? So the money is there for a striker. The club has money for a striker. They've known for a long time that they need to buy a quality striker, and they felt that Paratici, I think, felt that he didn't want to buy someone who wasn't going to push Kane for that position. They don't want to buy someone like Vinicius. Yes, he scored in the Europa League, but he didn't do much else. We need someone who's going to compete with Kane. If Kane is not playing, bench him. I love Kane, but if we have Vlahovic, for example, and Kane isn't producing, play him. Play Vlahovic, for example. And if Kane goes next to Conte, why did you bench me? Because you're not scoring. You have to fight for position. I think now there's a bit of competition now for places. You can see Sessegnon is fighting with Reguilon for his position. Emerson is fighting with Japhet Tanganga and Matt Doherty, who should never have been bought in the first place. Probably one of the worst signings we've ever made. Contributed nothing for us, and I still think he's an Arsenal fan and plays like he is.
You obviously don't remember Gregor's Raziak, Melvin. He was a pretty bad signing.
No, there's been a few over the years.
But yeah, it's whoever Conte wants to buy, and I think in a way, I think Conte has Levy because as a fan base, I don't think we've ever been so united behind one manager. Because I don't see anyone complaining about Conte. I don't see anyone talking negative. Everyone is so pumped and excited about even the transfer window coming up, because I can't wait to see what's going to happen, how the club is going to act. Because I think if Levy messes this one up, I think people will give up on the club and start to really, not renew the season tickets and not buy merchandise. Because I'll be honest, I didn't renew the one Hotspur membership card, which I did every single season. Even when there was COVID and there was no matches, I still renewed it. But I was giving up on the club, so I didn't renew it. But now I'm excited again. I was looking at tickets and flights all over again, because I want to go see the games. Why? Because of Conte. Because the excitement is back. Because people, I even noticed the atmosphere improved from the TV. People are singing more. It's louder. Yes, Conte gives it a lot of this, but people are excited again.
We've got a conductor now, Melvin. That's the difference.
Yeah. And people have taken, he's only been here, a couple of days, in hindsight. And I'm loving the guy, putting up, Italian flags emojis and all of that. People are so behind him and it's great to see. And yeah, so the January transfer window, to answer your question, whoever Conte wants, just bring him in.
Craig, same question to you. Do you expect a busy January for Spurs?
I would like to think there'll be some outs and a few ins. I think we can realistically only hope for a maximum of 3 ins. I think we'll see a few players go out on loan. Jack Clark for one. Players that are on the fringes of the squad as well. Even Dele Alli might even get a loan, for example. In my mind, there's certain players that we should be going for that would excite fans and improve the squad definitely, whether they're gettable in January. I think we've covered a lot of these, but for me, Vlahovic would be a great addition, fantastic addition to the squad. I think Matthijs de Ligt at the back, he's still a fantastic defender. And for me, and I've said on this channel before, there's 2 players that I think are gettable. Certainly one of them we should be looking at is somebody like Alan St-Maximin from Newcastle. I think you could get him. He would excite fans. He certainly excites me every time he gets the ball. Adama Traore, I know, split the fan base, but for me, he would be a great addition to the squad as long as he's not a stupid price, which I think they overpriced him, quite frankly, before. But imagine St-Maximin on one side and Traore on the other running at you as a defender. It would scare you to death. But the one player I would love to see us going for, and I think he's gettable, is Tariq Lamptey from Brighton. I think Brighton would accept a bid for him, and I'm not convinced on Emerson Royale as yet. I think he's a good defender, but I don't think he's as good as Kyle Walker going forward, and I always come back to Kyle Walker because he's a good canary down the mine, if you like. I think Lamptey would be awesome on the right and with Reguilon on the left. I think that's a great attacking threat down the wings, and this might split opinion a little bit, but I think you could do a lot worse than Eden Hazard for a playmaker if you keep him fit. I would, whether he'd want to come to Tottenham, I don't know. I know he's not set the world alight at Real Madrid, but there's still a player in there. And if you can get him at the right price or even on loan, I think he might be worth a shot. People have said Coutinho. Not convinced about Coutinho, but out of the 2, I would take Hazard because he's torn us a new one a couple of times, hasn't he? In the Battle of the Bridge, he made the difference, didn't he? Sure, the fan base haven't forgiven him for that, but he's a cracking player. There is a player still in there, and I just think Real Madrid are not the right team for him. But that, in essence, is the players I'd like to see through the door. I can't see any one of them come in, to be honest, in January, but I'd love to be proven wrong. If Mr. Paratici is watching this, then go out and get all of them and excite the fans, please.
The interesting thing, Craig, is when you were rattling off all those names, I was looking at Melvin and Cracker's face, and I don't think you really impressed them by any of those names. They weren't smiling.
Oh, that's disappointing. That's disappointing because
I agree with a few of them. Like they would certainly improve the squad.
I'm not sure about Traore at all. I'm really unconvinced by him.
I
to be honest.
I know I was going to get that from you, Crackers. Yeah, I know your opinions on him. He does split opinion. I get it, but the raw pace. I just think with the right coach, I just think he could be.
We can do better than Traore.
Out of the 2, out of him and St-Maximin, I'd rather St-Maximin, to be honest with you, because I think he's more of a finisher than Traore. But I just think when you look at players that are going to scare defences, St-Maximin's a big fish in the small pond in Newcastle at the moment, and that's really all they've got apart from Callum Wilson. Is it up front they've got? Is it Callum Wilson? Yeah. So I just think he's gettable. If you're looking at quality Premier League players that know the score of the Premier League, no settling in required, I think you've got to look around the Premier League at what's out there. And that's why I said Tariq Lamptey. You know, he's a cracking player. Somebody's going to get a bargain because he only signed a 2-year deal, I think, with Brighton. So I think he's got 1 year left, 1.5 years left. He's going to be one for the future, definitely.
He's homegrown as well.
Craig, let's stay with you for a second. Franco writes on screen now, the problem is that overpaying for mediocrity is easy. Just look at Everton and Arsenal, but underpaying for quality is very hard. Now, if I was to ask you, what was the last player that you really got excited about? I know you've said Gareth Bale already, but other than Gareth Bale, who you got excited about, who has really done it for you? Because I would have to go back to the summer of '94 when we signed Jurgen Klinsmann. That was a real wow. That was a real wow moment. You know, when we just signed a World Cup winner, a superb striker, an all-round finisher, and that season, 94-95, remains one of my favourite seasons, him playing up front with Teddy Sheringham. For you, when was the last time we signed real world-class players, and when do you think we're going to get that moment again?
Well, let me just say, I would have slung Gareth Bale in the list I rattled off earlier, but I think people probably get bored of me banging the drum about Gareth Bale. I think we should try and get him back. You talk about him more than I talk about trophies, I think. I know. I just love the guy, to be honest with you, and I think you could do a lot worse than getting him back on loan in January, to be honest. But yeah, God, he beat me to it, Matt. Ginola. When Ginola joined, I was absolutely, I loved the fellow when he was at Newcastle watching him, and then I couldn't believe he came to Tottenham. Didn't he come with Les Ferdinand as well? Because we signed Ferdinand for something like 6 million as well, didn't we? And Ginola came for 3.5 or something ridiculous. I mean, it's stupid figures when you think back. But I have to agree, the last world-class player we signed in his prime was Jurgen Klinsmann. And since then, back in '94, I mean, that's getting on for 30 years, isn't it? 30 years without a world-class signing. Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, Ginola was one of the last ones. Transfer deadline? Yeah, Van der Vaart. Yeah.
That Van der Vaart. Yeah, that was what I was going to say.
Gallas?
No, not Gallas. Van der Vaart.
Gallas? That was a travesty when he was playing centre-back with number 10 on his back. That was ridiculous. Oh, Gallas? It's got to be a joke, isn't it? Cool.
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so, Jason.
Do you know who was understated world class, and that was Luka Modric.
Yeah,
when he came,
God, yeah.
he was very, very understated, and there was a lot of fans that didn't actually like him. And I kind of judge a lot of fans on what they made of certain players. And back in the day, there was this little gang of boo boys that never quite liked Waddle. Who was absolutely incredible for us. And then it was your man we bought from West Ham. It's that man just given up as the Man U manager. Carrick. Carrick was another fantastic player for us. And there was a little gang of groovy gang at Spurs that was like, no, Carrick's too bobby, like he's no good. And then it was the same with Modric. And I think they're the same people every time. But Modric was just absolutely fantastic. You speak to any Real Madrid fan about those first 2 or 3 seasons after he went from us and went there, and and seriously, at Real Madrid, you've got to be a player to actually stop them, just to even acknowledge that you play for them, let alone anything else. Otherwise, the white hankies are out and they're booing you. And they loved him, absolutely loved him. And he tore it up at Madrid. He was a world-class player. So maybe not the bums off seats type of players that we've been talking about with Ginola and Van der Vaart and Jurgen. But listen, I've been spoilt because I saw Oddle play for Spurs and that was that. And I don't think we ever got much better than that, to be honest.
Crackers, before we start the quiz, and it is that time, I just want to talk a little bit about what you do, because for anyone watching this channel at the moment who don't know what you do, you have got like the perfect job, because you interview and do lots of Q&As with lots of Tottenham Hotspur legends. What is it like to be a part of that?
I still love doing it. So the moment I stop enjoying it, I'll stop doing it altogether. And it's great. I love doing it. I like the enjoyment it brings to people at shows that I do around the UK with the ex-players. And yeah, people get to sort of see these players that they grew up idolising, and they get to hear from them for a couple of hours talking. get some like selfies done with them, couple of shirts signed. And they're just really, really good nights. You know, you hear some fantastic tales from days of old, and I just really enjoy doing it. I do have to sometimes, well, quite a lot of times actually, I'll sit on stage. I've done some shows with Glenn Hoddle last couple of months, and you know, growing up as a kid, in, you know, from sort of 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and watching Glenn and idolizing Glenn, and then there I am sat there talking to him on stage. It just doesn't seem real, to be honest. But no, they're all really good. They're all very different nights. You get different tales from different eras, and I thoroughly enjoy, and I sort of hope that shows in the shows that I do, that you know, people see me enjoying it, and it's a good night for everyone. So come along, have a look on my social media, advertising more nights for Feb and March next year. Thank you very much.
Go on, Crackers, feel free, plug away.
Oh man, Clive and Paul Allen in Dartford is confirmed for in March. Glenn Hoddle again in April in Hereford, but there's also nights in Chessington and Leatherhead. So the lineups to be confirmed for them. Gloucester as well. So there's a few. Wales, Chrissy Waddle in Wales, that's confirmed in Feb. In Bebwas near Cardiff. So there's a few more coming up. But yeah, have a look at Mr. Cracknell, and I put the posters up for them, and they're really, really good nights, and all for the price of a posh fish and chips.
Well, they make great Christmas presents as well, won't they, these tickets?
Correct. Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's, you know, a Lynx gift set and a packet of socks. Forget it. Buy yourself a ticket to a Legends night. That your dad will far more appreciate it than Lynx Africa, let me tell you.
Right, Crackers, over to you with your quiz.
All right, thank you very much. As I explained earlier, this is the shit quiz that seems to have picked up a bit of a cult. I don't know quite why, but we're approaching Christmas, Chris. So I thought I'd make it a little bit Christmas themed. Here we go. Got it in my book here. Okay, so there's 6 questions, and I come up with the title. You've got 3 different subjects here. Okay, so as we know, it's Christmas time. Okay, Christmas time. So, Chris, you'll be getting a couple of questions on when on a time that Spurs have missed a penalty. Christmas time. Okay. Right, here we go. I'll give Craig shots, a couple of goals where they've been 30, 40-yard screamers, almost like a missile coming off the end of a player's toe. Okay. So we've got Christmas time, mistletoe, and Melvin, you've got facts on Bergwijn. Okay. So we've got Christmas time, mistletoe, Bergwijn. Okay. Children, very Christian. I told you, it's terrible, isn't it? All right. So are you ready to play Christmas time, mistletoe, Bergwijn? You see what I've done there? It's awful,
fantastic,
isn't it? Right. Chris, your first one. A time we missed, a Christmas time. It's the FA Cup. It's the 27th of January, 2019 versus Palace. Van Aanholt, tackle on Foyth. He's gone down in the box. Who missed the penalty, the resulting penalty? That's the FA Cup, January 2019 versus Palace.
Kieran Trippier.
Yes, he's in. Wallop, 1. You're done. Well done. That's your question.
I remember walking back to the car from that game, cursing Kieran Trippier. That's why I remember it.
All right, okay.
What the hell are you doing taking the penalty in the first place?
Exactly.
He hit the post, didn't he? I think. Did he hit the post?
He
or
did.
miss it completely?
Yeah, I think he hit the woodwork with that, didn't he? If I remember
Did
right.
we end up losing?
We lost that one. Didn't we lose that one,
We
Chris?
lost. We went out. That's why I remember.
Yeah, we went out.
We went out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Melvin on the show that night?
No. He should have been.
Poor Melvin. All right, okay, Craig. Here comes your mistletoe. All right, a screamer of a shot. So it's the Walkers Stadium, 19th of October 2003. A 30-yard mistletoe shot and scoring his only goal for Spurs. Who scored that goal?
Oh my God.
All right, so it's the Walkers Stadium, 19th of October 2003. A 30-yard mistletoe and scored his only goal for Spurs.
Oh, God, I can picture him. Oh, God.
I think I've got him.
What's his name?
Either of you other two chaps want to step in for that to take the point?
Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to pass on that one. I don't know. I'm terribly sorry.
No.
His surname begins with M, doesn't it?
It does indeed.
I can picture him. Is his surname the same as the first name, same initial?
Very, very similar. That's it. You've got it. You're nearly there.
Oh my God, what's his name?
Told you this was shit, everyone.
It was an absolute
That
banger,
was a 1-1 draw, wasn't it?
No, I think we ended up losing it 2-1, I think, if I remember rightly.
God.
Mabazela or something.
Mabazela, that's it. Mbuelo Mabazela.
Yes.
You got there
Absolute
eventually.
Screamer.
Okay, so we've had Christmas time, mistletoe, Melvin for you, Bergwijn. Okay, so is Bergwijn's middle name either A, Charles, or B, Eddie? Come on, Melvin. Would I lie to you and not give you a clue there? Was it Charles or Eddie?
I'm going to say Charles.
Yes, he's got it. Well done.
Hang on, he gets a 50-50 choice, and I'll get a question from 2003 on a steward's crackers.
It's a shit quiz.
He still looks like Crackers was stitching him up, giving him a multiple choice.
All right, we're back to you, Chris, for Christmas time. And I take you to the 12th of January, February, March, April, 12th of April, 2014. It's West Bromwich Albion in the League Cup, and Amalfitano upends Rose, and it's saved by Foster. Whose penalty was saved by Foster that day? For your Christmas time.
2014.
West Brom in 2014 in the League Cup. Danny Rose upended, and the resulting penalty was saved by Foster. But who took the penalty?
2014.
Or you could cut the tension with a blunt knife.
Pass.
Anybody else want to have a little guess?
2014. I'm going to
Is
say
it Adebayor?
It is Adebayor. Well done, Melvin. Smashed it home. Well
I don't
done.
I
remember
got a point.
Yes. Good stuff. All right. Okay. 2 to go, and then I'll put you all out of your misery. Okay. So, Craig, it's your mistletoe time. April the 16th, 2005. A 38-yard screamer, a mistletoe, if you will, versus Liverpool. Who was that? 38 yards out, April 2005. An absolute screamer away at Liverpool.
2005. Oh, I saw it the other day.
Yeah, I don't know the name.
Is he left-footed? Is it the one I'm thinking of?
It's another one with the same initials. We've had an MM. Now we've got a double initials for this one. Same first name, same surname, initials.
I've got a name in my head, but I don't think it's right. I can't believe I'm saying this. I was going to say Timu Tainio, but I'm not sure that's right. That's not right, is it?
It's
Eric Edmond.
It is Eric Edmond. Well done. Yes, there you go.
I want a stewards on these questions.
You should remember that one. The classic.
Craig's so disgusted. Look, he's gone. He's
I
left.
know.
Had to get a drink.
Why would I remember an Adebayor missed penalty? You know, you'd remember that Eric Edmond goal.
All right, Melvin, last one for you, okay, is your Bergwijn. We've had Chris Mistime, we've had Mistletoe, here comes Bergwijn. Bergwijn's parents are originally from A, Guyana, or B, Suriname.
Multiple choice again. I'm getting questions from 1952.
He needs a break, old Melvin. He needs a
That's
break.
nearly 8 o'clock, 1952.
Can you say that again?
Bergwijn's parents, obviously from Amsterdam, but they were both born originally in A, Guyana, or B, Suriname.
I'm going to say
If
Guyana.
he gets it wrong, can I jump in?
You can jump in. And he said Guyana. So, like,
I'm going to say Suriname then.
yeah, it's Suriname. And there you go. That is your Christmas themed shit quiz. Chris Mistime, Mistletoe, Bergwijn. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Terrible.
Very good.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Crackers.
All right, you're welcome.
Well, just wanted to ask you all a final question. Where do you think Tottenham Hotspur will finish in the Premier League at the end of the season? Crackers, let's start with you.
Fourth. Come on. Bit of faith. Fourth. I
Love
think
it.
we're going to pull it together, get a couple of players in January, get a couple of players back pulling up some trees, and fourth. I can't. The top three, I think, are done, and then it's like Man U. Not seeing anything there at the moment. Arsenal not seeing anything now. West Ham, I think, will fall off. Leicester will fall off, and I can see us fourth. Thank you very much.
Love the positivity. Melvin, what about you?
Fourth. I can see fourth.
Yeah, confident.
Yeah. Listen, we're 8 points better off at this stage than last season, and we've had a shit season. So, yeah. So Conte
Worse
can
than
have
the
a winning
quiz.
run. Yeah.
See, following that shit quiz, you're now saying it's a shit season.
Yeah. So we can get top four. I mean, the clubs around us don't have the manager we do. You know, David Moyes, Arteta, Rangnick. This is who we're competing with.
Craig, what about you?
I was going to say it before the other guys said it. I genuinely think we're going to finish fourth. I do. You call me mad, but I just think we've got it in the locker. I just think we're going to be. I can't say anything other than that. Especially after that quiz, my mind's kind of fried now. But I'm going to say fourth.
Craig, there's guys on Twitter who are saying, you know, we're 10 points off of Manchester City, and they post a photo of Conte and be like, "Let the guy work his magic." I mean, Spurs fans have the best humor out of every single fan base. I mean, it's so funny on Twitter, the things people post. I mean, that kind of.
Well, you've got to aim for it, Chris, haven't you? Just aim for it. Aim for it. Listen, we could still win this. We could still win the league this season. Yeah. So aim for it, and then as long as that's what you're aiming for, then like if you fall a little bit short, then just fall short at fourth. But if you go, well, maybe we can get fourth. No, maybe we can go on a run and win and win the whole thing. But that's what you've got to try and aim for. As long as you're always aiming for that, then you're going to get to the top of where you can be. So, so aim for first. And if we do get fourth and back into the Champions League, so be it. So maybe higher than fourth.
It's so nice because all three of you, regulars on this channel, and you've been on so many times during the season, and we've had some very, very low points, and it's just all nice to see, you three guys, everyone else I know, smiling at the moment and feeling that positivity again with Antonio Conte being the manager. It's fantastic. It's just given us a whole new lease of life, which is great. Craig, I'm sure that you're going to go and watch Eric Edmond's goal straight after this, but thank you so much for joining us.
I will certainly go and refresh my memory about that goal, because I did see it the other day on some Twitter thing somebody put up, and I should have realised that Crackers was going to ask me about it in a quiz a couple of days later. So slap on the wrist. But thanks for having me on, Chris. Been always good fun, always great. I can't believe we've been on 2 hours. Always flies.
I know.
And well done for Melvin for coming on when we haven't lost. That's fantastic. Well, good achievement, Melvin.
And Melvin, I'm sure when you log off, you're going to go and do a little bit more research on Stephen Bergwijn.
Well, I got your question correct about Adebayor and used the right quiz books. So I'm never going to let you go on down.
There you go. No, thanks so much for joining us, Melvin.
Yeah, don't send me the bill for the free therapy session.
Yeah, be on WhatsApp, yeah. And Crackers, I know when we log off, you'll be going to play FIFA and manage Mura.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll be in the Johnston Paint Trophy. I'm going to be managing Mura, or I might actually put myself in prison like that last team that we played and manage them from there when Jose lost. So, but listen, everyone, keep safe and well in these crazy times. Enjoy your Chris Cowlin Tottenham football quiz book. Enjoy your socks. Enjoy your Links Africa. And make sure you open a nice pair of Legends Nights ticket as well. Put them under the tree. Guaranteed a good Christmas. Big pint of Bailey's, job done. See you Boxing Day.
Can I just ask? Can I ask you guys one question? So first person to answer. Well, it's just one quiz question that I know the answer to this. Who was Tottenham's first scorer in the Premier League era? So who was the first player to score for Tottenham in the Premier League in the 92-93 season?
Was it Gordon Jury?
I wasn't born yet.
Spot on, Mr. C. Yeah, Gordon Jury.
Oh, Jukebox Jury. Good question.
Was it against Sheffield United?
You pass. Don't know.
Well, we'll have to do some quizzes on this channel in the future. You've started saying now, Crackers.
Definitely.
Yes. Well, I'd like to say thank you for everybody for watching, all of your comments tonight. There's been hundreds coming through, so thank you so much for all of your support. If you don't subscribe to this channel as yet, please do hit that subscribe button. A big thank you to 3 wonderful guests tonight, Craig, Crackers and Melvin. And, what a year it has been. I can't even say let's hope that Tottenham get the 3 points in the next game, because we don't even know when it's going to take place at the moment. But wishing all of the Tottenham Hotspur staff members the very, very best, and hopefully they will recover from COVID-19 in the near future. And we will then know who will be playing, what time, and what date. Have a lovely Christmas, everyone. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.